Oh yeah. By
So
the way, well, I mean, look, we already started the stream. It's all good.
yeah, yeah.
I remember I told you that this will be the last, and I guess for anybody watching, this will like after the fact, this would be like the last tip for
Mm,
tat for like a little bit. It will wrap up the Harry Potter and do this. But I figure we have one more Harry Potter, so I'm down to do
yeah.
like another movie with you too. So after I don't know if you already had another one in mind. I know you usually announce that at the
Um,
end. Think about it over the course of the stream if you need to. Um, but yeah, I
yeah.
was like,
Not. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say that I'm down to do another one. Because we're gonna do our last Harry Potter. I'm just moving away from
Mhm.
like collabs as much, just because I feel like I don't have the time, and I keep making people wait 10 years, like with this one.
Right.
Um, but anyway, yeah, I'm down to do more of those for sure.
Yeah,
Or at
yeah,
least
not for sure. I mean, hey, hey, life happens, man. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's no, I get it, bro. I get it. But yeah, but I'm making sure though. I'm making it my business before I watch that last Harry Potter movie to do my due diligence, man. Show us at least some respect and get it before I go into the last one because I feel like an idiot watching these movies, man. Because I don't know what the hell I don't know what's happening. I feel slow. And speaking of slow, okay, so that's a perfect segue to this. So today we're talking Inside Man. So, but before we get into it, to anybody watching, if you haven't already, I put the link in the description there for Anthony Perez. Check him out. He reviews movies. He has just a very intellectual perspective on a lot of films and just a different perspective than a lot of people. Because for everybody that shits on a certain movie, he'll find the light and be like, no, well, it's not bad. And then, like, dude, okay, I'll put it this way. You can make the Star Wars holiday special look good. Okay, I can sit there and be like, that's the worst thing ever. He said, well, bro, actually, if you think about it, and then by the time you're done, I'm like, I guess that does make sense. So,
Yeah, thank you,
yeah,
man.
so
I appreciate those kind words, man. Thank you.
yeah, no doubt, bro. So, you know what? This might be a short one because honestly, I don't have a lot to say about this movie, man. Like, you're better at this shit than I am. So, I'm gonna let you introduce the film, the actors, and the director because there's a certain actor whose name I cannot pronounce. I think you know who I'm talking about, and you say his name very clearly. So, I'm gonna give you the floor. Go ahead and introduce Inside Man for us if you can.
Yeah, I got you, man. Well, hold on. Let me pull it up because I thought you were gonna do it,
Okay.
but I'm more than happy to.
I'm sorry. I
So,
should have prepared you for that,
no, man,
man.
you know
Yeah,
me. I can. I'm good to talk anytime.
yeah.
Yeah, man. So I was excited about this one because you said it was one of the only Spike Lee joints that you had maybe not seen. I believe that
Hmm.
was the situation. So I was actually
Right.
going into this a little bit interested because Spike Lee has such a specific vibe, and I would argue that this movie is the least Spike Lee movie that he's maybe ever made, based on the ones I've seen. And there's still some I haven't seen, but even the ones
Right.
that I haven't seen, based on the marketing, the posters, some of the clips I've seen over the years, um, they feel Spike Lee esque, right? Like a good one
Hmm.
that I've never seen before that I've heard is amazing is Black Klansman. But from the outside, I see that movie. You tell me that's a Spike Lee joint. I'm like, yeah, it looks and feels like a Spike Lee joint just from the
Right.
marketing. So with
Right.
Inside Man, yeah, you got like a heist essentially. You got like this ultimate like heist movie that Spike Lee decided to do here. You got Denzel Washington, of course, as the main face of the movie. Willem Dafoe's in here as well.
Hmm.
Jodie Foster is in this weird kind of like the side plot role in this movie. You got
Hmm.
Christopher Plummer, the one I'm assuming you're mentioning that you can't pronounce his name, Chiwetel Ejiofor, that guy. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And then our main villain, played by Clive Owen, and there's a bunch of other faces you see in the movie. But I mean, I think the best way to really describe this is Spike Lee's take on a heist film. You got people who are robbing a bank, and you got
Hmm.
Denzel Washington, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Willem Dafoe on the outside as these detectives. And I like what they do with Denzel Washington's character, where he's kind of like wants this shot to kind of prove himself, like he's not like the top dog. I'm glad that they didn't try to like kind of copy some of the stuff he's done before, where he's been like the top dog in his field,
Hmm.
in the police department. In this one, he's kind of got to prove himself a little bit, so he's kind of got this drive to do that. And but yeah, man, I was surprised with this movie with how little about it feels like. And by the way, I'm using a new mic on this computer, so do I
Okay.
sound clear, by the way?
Yeah, you sound crystal clear.
Oh, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. um but yeah, I was surprised at how the little amount of Spike Lee isms, if you will, that were in
Hmm.
this movie. The biggest Spike Lee element of this film, for sure, is Denzel Washington's like relationship he's got going on this his
Right.
life at home, and specifically how the movie ends, like with like
Mm-hmm.
his girl like in the bed calling him over. All of that felt like so Spike Lee, and in a way where it almost felt like it didn't feel organic to the film itself. Um,
Right.
but man, I can genuinely say I liked the movie. I don't think it necessarily was nearly as impactful or strong. And knowing Spike Lee, I was expecting there to be like a message. And I think there's something
Mm-hmm.
to be said about class, like there's about classism and like just like the various like hierarchies of people who are rich and the poor and stuff. I think there was something in there about that to some degree, with all the stuff going on with the heist. But
Right.
yeah, it wasn't a movie that really felt like it had like a heavy-handed message like a lot of his films that we've covered here together on your channel. Um,
Message.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it felt like it just felt like a fun like heist movie. But you mentioned, I'm curious to hear your thoughts because
Okay.
you said slow as you started to introduce
Mm-hmm.
this film. And if you're gonna say the movie is slow, I gotta say I agree to an extent that there was. While I enjoyed the film, I don't know that it's one that fully captured me, and I don't think it's a
Mm-hmm.
Spike Lee joint that I'm running to watch again. And it's probably one of his better made films in terms of like cinematography and kind of like a bigger scale movie. A lot of his movies tend to be like smaller scale, and
Right.
this one didn't feel like I felt like he was given a bigger budget to do some bigger stuff with it. And yeah, on one hand I like that, and on another hand it just felt like a very random film in his filmography, if you will. Like it felt
Mm-hmm.
kind of detached from other things that he's done. But anyway, I've been rambling. What do
Yeah,
you think?
no, dog, no, that's perfect. Yeah, you know what, Perez? Because I watched it again today because like this movie is almost like a two watch type film. Like the first time you watch it, and then the second time you watch it to see what the fuck you missed. Because it's one of those who done it type deals where okay, well who the bad guy is, but do you know who the bad guy is? Because spoiler here, you know who you think is the bad guy in the movie turns out to be like a Robin Hood type character. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right,
the whole point of robbing the bank is to rob, take the money. And by the end, once again, I'm going to spoilers here. He left all the money. Nobody was harmed. All right, they had a fake execution, so he walked away with just, I guess, his moral fiber, knowing that he did the right thing by shutting down this bank owned by a guy that did business with Nazis.
right, right.
And turning his own people. So yeah, okay, I didn't hate the movie, bro. But at the same time, it's like okay, if you take a checklist, Spike did almost everything right in this movie. Okay, he executed a good heist film where it kept you guessing. Even the execution of the heist. Like I like a heist film where the heist actually comes together and they're successful at the end. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like an itch that needs to be scratched. So everything worked. Like you said, the production, the cinematography, the acting, but when it comes down to it, if I can be honest, I didn't care. I find myself bored. I can't tell you one like memorable scene except for when Denzel and the main bad guy got into a fight and they fell down the stairs. You can see Denzel, well, the stuntman holding his head while he was going down the stairs. But there's nothing really memorable about this film. Like it was zero fun. It was just all dialogue. It just, okay, is it this or is it that? It always put me in the mind of, okay, you ever see The Water Boy, Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
Okay, when Henry Winkler's trying to break down a trick play, he says, okay, the quarterback fakes. No, he pretends to fake, but he fakes, but then pretends to fake, but then fakes again. I don't know where I am. I can't breathe. It was one of those, bro. Like, okay, I see where you're going with this. Okay, but I don't give a shit no more. And then by then I'm like, what was the point of all? I mean, I know what the point of it all was, but when the movie ended, Perez, I didn't feel satisfied. I felt like it was a nothing burger. It was just,
Yeah, no, I totally
yeah,
get what you're saying. It's one of those
yeah.
things for me where like I can kind of like I said, like it's well made. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
got probably one of the bigger budgets for a Spike Lee joint. It's got
Right.
great performances. It's well shot. And it's got a through line that you can follow that has
Mm-hmm.
a cohesive ending. Like, and on so many levels, it works. On Letterboxd, after I saw it, I gave it a 3.5 star. And I think for me, what's missing for that 1.5 stars that I didn't give it was
Right.
this memorability, like or this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's even a word. I don't know if I'd pull that on my ass, but like this ability for this movie to be so like be memorable. You know, when
Right.
I think of Spike Lee joints, even if I haven't liked them, even if the movies you've shown me I didn't like them or they're not something I would rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
There was something about them that made them memorable.
Right.
And one of those, you know, I think one of the best ones was probably one of the last ones we covered, which was Bamboozled, which is a movie that on the flip side has the lowest production value of all time. But the
Right.
story, the message, what Spike Lee like really strives at, that movie proved that Spike Lee doesn't need the money to make a good movie. He needs the talent. He's got his own
Mm-hmm.
talent, and he has this very specific style. With this movie, for me, what you saw was a competent, like a very strong director directing a genre and a story type that isn't his wheelhouse. He made a
Mm-hmm.
good movie, but not something that's nearly as memorable as his cheapest made film. Like
Right.
that's really the
Right.
best way I could describe it. Whereas like everything about it was well made. It just
Mm-hmm.
ultimately didn't have it just didn't have that element of it that just like made it Spike Lee. You know, the only thing like
Well,
I watched it with my girl, and my girl has
yeah.
watched a lot of Spike Lee joints now because of you having me do these collabs with you and
Mm-hmm.
introducing me to films that I hadn't seen before. So even she was kind of like, yeah, this movie doesn't feel like a Spike Lee movie as much. But then we both laughed when you get to the end and you got like, the girl's like on the bed and her feet come sticking out. It's funny because we watched that scene too. We're like, where were her feet before? Like, because they're right off
Right.
camera, and then they
Right.
come down. It's like, was she just like lying on the bed with her feet straight, pointing at the sky?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like that was the most Spike Lee the movie was in its tone.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise,
Right.
again, it's like it's weird to describe. It's like whenever a director, when you see a director do something that's completely out of their wheelhouse, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they give you something like some new, different kind of gold, but
Right.
sometimes it feels weird. A good example for me, a great movie I love, and it grows on me every time I watch it. Ready Player One. But if you
Okay.
didn't, if showed that movie to a bunch of people in succession with a bunch of other Spielberg movies, I feel like there'd be people who'd be like, I don't think that one's a Spielberg film. Something about it
Right.
just feels different because he's so grounded in practicality that now you have
Mm-hmm.
this one movie that's so CG heavy. It just feels so different from everything he does.
Right.
Not that he hasn't
Right.
done CG heavy stuff too, like the BFG or something like that. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
feels so
Well, I
aspect.
think to piggyback off that, I mean, I agree 100%, and I'll say that it had no balls, man. The thing about Spike Lee movies, Spike has the balls to say things that other directors wouldn't say, or
Right.
say put on screenwriter like a lot of like, for example, Do the Right Thing, which I know you wasn't crazy about, but that
Right.
scene where all the different races were spitting out insults, stereotypes about other races,
Right.
nobody would have had the balls to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the most vile, racist things you could say, and they were saying it to each other. But Spike has always been like that instigator. Like, okay, I want to stir the pot. I want people to see the ugly side of society, the ugly side of things. And like you said in this film, this is not his thing. You know what I'm saying? He took on a heist genre, which is like he did everything right, but he didn't put that Spike Lee hot sauce in there that makes it Spike Lee chili. You know what I'm saying? It felt safe. It was a very safe project.
Yeah, that's what I was
That
gonna say.
okay. Yeah, it's okay. I just want to challenge myself to see if I can do this. But you could tell that that's just not his thing. You know.
Right. And Do the Right
Yeah.
Thing, as you mentioned, is a good thing, a good example, right? Because that's a movie I've only
Mm-hmm.
seen that one time when we covered it on your channel. At this point now, 4 years ago, which is crazy.
Right.
We did that
Right.
during the pandemic, and I remember like being like, all right, like I'd never seen this before. I had always heard about it. It's one of those classics that went under the radar that I was like kind of
Mm-hmm.
ashamed, like, oh, you've never seen Do the Right Thing. But I watched it, and yeah, I wasn't crazy on it narratively watching it today. But I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you what, bro, I've thought about that movie plenty of times over the last 4 years. And a lot of that is that I've seen like interviews with Spike Lee more over the last 4 years. Us doing these has prompted me to do my own Spike Lee investigation in terms of just like, I was recently watching like a um, director on director that I can't remember. I think it's Variety does or what
Yeah.
GQ or
I
one of
think it's
those
variety. Yeah.
Entertainment Weekly, one of those. And they did the one with Spike Lee and Bradley Cooper, and
Mm.
I just loved hearing him talk on it. And I've seen other interviews with him too, where they include him in these like round tables with like other directors. And I have like a lot of appreciation for him. And so it's Do the Right Thing is always kind of stuck with me because there's moments like the end. Do you know how many movies? I mean, we watch so many movies, dude, doing
Mm.
this YouTube channel, more so than I think most people. And And a lot of times, movies just you forget them, dude. Like, like
Right.
you really forget them. And Do the Right Thing is one of those movies that remain memorable. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember the characters and I remember the moments. I remember the way it ends. I remember like key moments between characters, even if I didn't love it in the moment when I was watching it. It's a movie that I've thought to myself, maybe I'll enjoy it more as the years go on, as I revisit
Right.
it. And yo, what's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
What's up, D
Yeah,
Rock?
Willem
Yeah,
Dafoe is
what's
really
up?
good in it. I really,
Oh yeah, well, Willem
that's
Dafoe's good in everything. Yeah, everything. He
right.
could be the worst movie, and he's still good in it.
And everybody was great in this movie. And it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like you said, safe. Everything was done right. Everything comes
Right.
to a head perfectly fine at the end. There's a nice little bow on top and everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like a nice little Christmas present, but it's missing that Spike Lee edge. Like safe is the best way to put it, and it just didn't have
Right.
that memorable element to me. Good movie, undeniably,
Yeah.
very well made.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like it just like I like the one that sticks probably in my head the most. Maybe it's one of the more recent ones we watched, but it just message wise, I think is showcased again. What I was saying, he doesn't need the money. Is Bamboozled, like that movie, just
Mm-hmm.
like stuck with me.
Right.
I've gone back and watched clips of it later on,
Mm-hmm.
just to remember some of those sequences because man, he just captured the tension and the
Yeah.
satire and everything about it so well. But one thing I'm curious about your thoughts on it. What are your
Okay.
thoughts on the again? It's integral to the story. It's part of getting that nice little bow on top at the end. But what were your thoughts on the whole side plot with Christopher Plummer and Jodie Foster? Because Jodie Foster is a huge part of this movie, but is like
Right.
not really integral to the central thing we're focusing on. But
Yeah. And
she is and she isn't.
yeah, dog. Hey, we could have done without her. Like I love seeing Jodie Foster. I'm a big fan of hers since Taxi Driver.
Right.
But yeah, it's really served no purpose, man. That whole thing about doing business with the Nazis and everything. I'm like, okay, so that this went from a bank heist movie to now I don't know what the fuck to call it. Like it's like a Robin Hood tale.
Right,
Steal
right.
from the rich to give to the poor. Like I said, at the end, they walked away with nothing, and he had a whole crew with him. So I'm pretty sure when he put this crew together, he said, "Okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna execute it. This is how much money we're gonna get." And of course, you go over the numbers. Like, okay, everybody's gonna get a certain amount of money, and you walk away with just some diamonds, and you slip Denzel a diamond, and then that's it. Like, that there was no argument in the car. Like, the fuck is the money at? It's not about the money, all right? Right. The ultimate, what do you say? The ultimate currency is morality or something like that.
Right,
You
right.
know, yeah. He was like, no, it's not about the money. It's about the moral high ground. We have to do right by it. Like, dude, what the fuck? Yeah, it just if that yeah, that whole subplot was off to me. It kind of tanked the movie a little bit. I'll say, yeah, I wasn't crazy about it. Well,
Yeah,
what about you? What do you think?
I felt that way. I was watching with my fiance, and I kept telling her, I was like, I go, it's weird because I love Christopher Plummer and I love
Yeah.
Jodie Foster, and they're giving good performances here, no doubt. But
Mm-hmm.
I kept thinking, like every time we cut to Jodie Foster, I didn't give a fuck. I wanted to get back
Right.
to the heist stuff. The time spent. The most entertaining portion of the movie for me was the time spent,
Mm-hmm.
with Denzel Washington, with Clive Owen, with what was happening inside the bank, or
Right.
with Chiwetel Ejiofor and Willem Dafoe, those characters. So when we moved away from that, I was like, all right,
Yeah.
again, it's when you look at the full picture, that stuff with Jodie Foster, it at least went somewhere, but it just felt
Right.
like, yeah, like you could have written out that portion and written something else in with Denzel and those characters to
Mm-hmm.
kind of fill that portion of the story. And again, it just feels safe. It just feels like a movie
Yeah.
that Denzel, not that Spike Lee wanted to make, that just felt like out of his wheelhouse. And
Right.
again, that's not always a bad thing. A lot of directors have given us
Yeah.
really cool different kinds of movies. Like sometimes I even think about like something like, I don't know, The Wolf of Wall Street. That's such an incredible
Dog,
movie.
you read my mind. I was like, literally, I was just thinking about it before you said that. I was just thinking about that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That with great
Yeah.
minds think alike. Yeah, that's a perfect example of a movie that
Right.
one. Now that one is a substantially better film than this one, but it
Facts.
feels very different from Scorsese stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
he done up to that point. Um, even something like Shutter Island. Like it's
Yeah.
another movie that like Scorsese did something different for his
Right.
type of movie.
But
But
but here's the
it was
thing. But here's
great.
the thing. Even though not to cut you off, but even though it's
Very good.
different, but you see Scorsese's footprint all over those movies. So whether you
Right,
watch
right.
Goodfellas or you watch Taxi Driver or you watch Wolf of Wall Street, all three different types of films but Scorsese's all over it, because
Right, right,
the three things that he does best is he knows how to incorporate music, like songs,
right,
to the scene. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't just randomly throw a song in there just for the hell of it. No, there's a
right.
reason why he puts a song with a certain scene to give it that tone, and also like the dialogue, and then just the quick camera movements that Scorsese does. So his key signatures are always in his movies. And Spike kind of does it in here too. Like, okay, there's a scene where there's a thing that Spike Lee does, a technique he does where he does his floating thing, where it looks like the person's floating, but they're
Right,
walking.
right,
And
right.
so he does. There's a shot in there where he does do it. So there's a couple of Spike Lee-isms here, but for the most part, it's like he almost felt like timid, like I want to do what I usually do, but no, this is a bank heist film, and at times it felt like it was too smart for its own good. Like, well, what's the
Yeah,
word? Pretentious or whatever. It felt like
right.
it was trying to be too smart, too intelligent. Okay, fuck the intelligence shit. Okay, yes, make it intelligent, but entertain us. This is a heist film. Heist films are supposed to be entertaining.
Right,
I
right.
fell asleep twice in this joint, Perez. You know me, man. I fell asleep twice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I will also say another part that I felt was very Spike Lee-esque was the musical
Mhm.
score. I thought the
Right.
music, it felt kind of like that was made me laugh at times because the music was good, but it
Mhm.
felt like it fit one of his like more smaller scale movies. Um,
Right.
and it's like the in the on the note of intelligence when it comes to the writing, how smart the movie is. It is a very clever film, and it does have all these like intricate like little elements to it that again come together to make a cohesive bow on top movie by the time it gets to the end.
Right.
It's like, all right, cool, thumbs up, good movie, well made. But yeah, I think it's one of those things where like the writing in this sense, because Spike Lee is such a clever writer, he's such an intelligent writer,
Mhm.
so he implemented that here in this way to kind of create this kind of like thing that's kind of constantly got you guessing and looking at
Right.
things a different way and stuff. But the beauty of his cleverness and his intelligence when he's writing things, sometimes it's right on the nose, it's straight in your face, but it's so
Mhm.
clever in the way it's done. Again, I hate to keep bringing it up, but Bamboozled being
Right.
probably one of the best examples of
No,
that.
it's dope film, man. Very underrated film too. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Yeah.
It like, it's very on the nose. It makes you uncomfortable. It is very heavily satirical.
Mhm.
It does not hold back itself. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
this ain't no bank robbery. Yeah, so there were some good lines in here for sure. And I
Mhm.
think if you had a lesser cast, it wouldn't have worked. But Spike Lee
Right.
doesn't really, at this point in his career too, he was not aligning himself with weaker actors or anything like that.
Right.
Like
Right.
the actors and seeing his vision is part of what makes it all work.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, like I wish that I too had more to say on this movie. After seeing it, I was like, damn, here's this one Spike Lee joint that I know I
Right.
hadn't seen. It's one that Rashad hasn't seen. Rashad's
Mhm.
a big Spike Lee fan. I was like, this should be an interesting chat. And then after seeing the movie, when I think about the other films of his that we've covered, we've really gotten deep into like message and
Yeah.
themes, and we can pull from different scenes and talk about them. With this movie,
Right.
like again, there's something to be said about I think class, and the
Mhm.
hierarchy of like
Right, right,
society and stuff like
and maybe if they would have kind of went more to the backstory of the Clive Owen character, like why does he care? Like he because at first he comes across
right,
as like a one note type of villain. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Just
right.
the regular bank robber that we've seen plenty of times. But okay, why all of a sudden? Why now does he have a conscience? Well, why is he so? Why does he take this so to the heart? Where he did business with Nazis? Well, what is it to you? I don't. I mean, unless I missed something, unless I fell asleep in that part, that was never explained. At least not that I know of.
Yeah, I don't really remember. I think they touch in some of the dialogue. I think in like there's moments where I think they allude to the fact that he's come from a place where you know this kind of stuff has affected him, but yeah, it's not
Hmm.
really ever something. And I think part of the mystery of his character is part of the interesting element of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I read that comment a second ago. I was gonna wait for you to pop up on the
Shit.
screen, but that's some crazy shit right there.
Yeah.
Like I
Damn.
would I'd almost feel weird about it. Like like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, I recommended those movies to you. Like,
Oh shit.
yeah, you
Yeah.
should comment and let us know. Did she ask for bank robbery movies, or you just happen to
Huh?
like offer them to her and like
I mean,
you find out later on?
because look, even though this is probably one of the weaker bank robber movies that I've seen, but this is one of the few where the bank robber was actually successful. You know.
Right, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's a weird one, man. It's a weird one to talk about because it is good. It's a good
Hmm.
movie. It's well made, and like it has a through line that doesn't leave a lot of loose ends. Like
Right.
you see where it ends, and you're like, yeah, everything that was set up, it makes sense. Made by a good, competent, like strong director, well shot.
Hmm.
And pretty much every way, like competently made. And
Yeah.
thumbs up from me. Would recommend, yeah, to anybody. If there's somebody's like, hey, should I watch Inside Man? I'd be like, yeah, you won't have a bad time with it. But it's just not one that I'm like gonna like give a ringing endorsement to or
Right.
sing the heavy praise to and like feel like this is a must see in the Spike Lee filmography. Honestly, I'd rather rewatch something that maybe I wasn't crazy about
Hmm.
than watch this one again. It just
Yeah.
wasn't as memorable, in a lot of ways. There's some that I found with a little bit more boring. I personally thought like Jungle Fever was a little bit boring, but yeah, I know we talked about that one, but it's like, but I think that Jungle Fever has, more to say, and I think
Yeah.
that there was more about it that was memorable and stood out to me. And there's scenes in my head that stick out a little bit more
Hmm. Hmm.
than with this one.
Yeah, because the characters were interesting, and you knew why the characters did what they did, said what they said. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yes, I because on the surface, yes, about a black man dating a white woman, but it's like you see the background of both these characters, where they come from, and why they are the way they are, and then why they hooked up. It wasn't just like a random, hey, I just want to hook up with you because you're white. It's like, well, in a way, that's kind of what it was. But you know what I mean, though. You know what I'm
Right, right,
saying?
yeah,
You understood why they did it in this movie. Besides Denzel's character, like there's really no motive for anybody. Like you don't understand like why these characters are doing what they're doing. Even Jodie Foster, like she even has a moment where when she confronts what's his name again, the the guy that owned the bank, what's his
yeah.
name,
Christopher Plummer's character.
Christopher Plummer's character. Yeah, she has a moment where she's in tears and she's like, you could tell she's disturbed by what he did. And it's like, okay, so you didn't know the whole time that your boss was a shiesty fucking shrewd businessman. You didn't know this about him,
Right, and
you
I
know?
think that, like, kind of like you said, it's like Denzel's the only real character that is given like something about him that you're like, okay, yeah, he's
Right.
like he's got drive, like I mentioned it earlier, like he's got
Hmm.
this, he wants to prove himself to his captain, and
Right.
and he wants to be able to show that he can handle this, and that's shown throughout the movie multiple times, and they're like, listen, we need you to get results from this ASAP,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I'm going to get somebody else in here. So he's got a drive. Chiwetel
Hmm.
Ejiofor just feels like the sidekick who's like, all right, but well, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Willem
Yeah.
Dafoe just feels like the expert who's already on site, who's just
Hmm.
there to kind of lend a hand, if you will. But yeah, a
Right.
lot of the other stuff is especially with Clive Owen as a villain, you don't really know his motive, and obviously until the end, really you don't get a full picture of it. So his whole story is left in secrecy. What Jodie Foster is doing on the side is mostly kind of shrouded in secrecy. Even when she
Hmm.
shows up to the location and gets inside,
Right.
and everything about her is shrouded in secrecy. So much so that yeah, like there is that element of like, all right, like let's see where this
Yeah.
goes. But there isn't something in me that's like, woohoo, I'm rooting for this person, or oh shit,
Exactly.
I don't want to see that person get hurt, or
Hmm.
anybody could have died in this movie. I wouldn't have given a damn.
Exactly. I mean, look, say what you want about Jungle Fever, right? But when something happened, okay, like what happened, spoiler, when Samuel L. Jackson got shot, it affected you some because he was a character that you followed through the whole movie
Right.
and you cared about his character. So when he got popped, you're like, oh damn, he just killed his own son. I don't know that shit gets me, like
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
the
No, it's an impactful moment. Even if you don't
yeah,
care for the character, it's at least a moment of you as an audience member going,
right.
"Oh shit."
Right, and that's the key thing, man. We have to care about these characters. I mean, I listen. I don't care about the Fast and Furious movies. Like those are like heist movies now. But I'll
Right.
be honest. If I watch a Fast and Furious movie and I see Dominic Toretto get killed, I'm gonna feel a type of way.
Right.
'Cause
Right.
I've been following this shit for years, and though I'm sick of him saying family, but if something happened to him or any of his so-called family, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be in my feelings a little bit. But here, I was like, everybody was expendable.
Pretty
You know,
much. Yeah, and there was nobody I disliked in this movie per se.
right. What the hell?
Yeah, that's a really weird coincidence, man. Like
Oh.
that's like me recommending a bunch of slasher movies to a friend, and he's like, "Yeah, I actually murdered my family back in the day. Served my time, but I'd be like, oh, okay." I mean,
Yeah, so
obviously that's
yeah, so
drastically
how about
different for
yeah,
anybody who's
how,
not. can't pick up on that sarcasm. That's
Right. They'd be
drastically
like,
different.
they'd be like, yeah, how about those Cowboys, right? You have to change. You have to change the
Yeah,
subject real
for
quick.
sure. Be like, oh, let me never mind. Let me recommend you some family. I got you with some
some
Disney joints.
some Disney joints, though. Yeah, X-Men '97 drops next month. You should probably watch that.
Dude, we
But
got a heavy few months as people who talk about movies and
ooh,
TV, man.
yes, yes, I'm hyped.
We got Bad Batch start. Well, we got Dune coming out next weekend.
March, right? Yeah, March 1st. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like the and I actually get to see it tomorrow. So anybody who's watching, my review will be up on.
You lucky bastard.
I would invite you, but it was that they've been doing it a lot lately. They did the same thing with Madam Web, but no
Mm.
guest press screening.
Ah, okay.
Kind of sucks, but
Are you
yeah.
watching
So
IMAX?
I think it's in Dolby when I'm seeing it tomorrow. The
Mm.
screening that I'm getting to see early.
Nice,
So
nice.
my review I think is embargoed until Wednesday, but that's like a little over like the fact that it's a nearly 2 week ahead of time
Mm.
screening. I think it's like they're pretty proud of the movie. But then we got like Bad Batch comes back for its final season next
Yep,
next next week,
yep.
or this week, I think. I think like we got the Knuckles TV show coming out from the Sonic movies that's on
That's right.
Paramount Plus coming in the next like couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah, like X-Men. It just
Does
like
that
there's
new
so
Quiet Place? Doesn't Quiet Place come out next month also, or that's
yeah,
a little bit
Quiet
later
Place.
down the line?
I think we're finally getting into like the part of the year where we're gonna start getting like better releases, man. Because it's been real hit or miss with
Yeah.
January and February. And I'm just looking forward to some
Facts.
stronger movies, man. Like
Yeah.
some stronger movies. I need them.
That facts. But yeah. So wrapping this review up though. Yeah. Giving it a grade. Yeah, I gotta give. I'm gonna give it. I mean, I'm gonna give it a C because I can't call it a bad movie, but I really can't call it a great movie either. It's like kind of down the middle. You know what I mean?
Right.
Very, very, very generic, very safe, but executed pretty well enough to where, like you said, I could recommend it, but nothing I'm gonna rush to see again. So that's my final take on Inside Man.
Yeah, man. Like I said, on Letterboxd, I give it a 3.5, which for me is a good movie. Like it,
Mhm.
really like I would say like a 3.5 is like a really good or like a solid or something like that. 4 being like great, and 4.5 being like damn near perfect, and obviously 5-star being like either just a flat out guilty pleasure or like
Mhm.
for me what just sings to me on all levels. Um, like if I was to give it a letter grade, probably like a B minus. Like
Okay.
nothing phenomenal, nothing great, but it is well made. Like it's well made,
Yeah.
it's well acted, it's well shot, it's well put together. The story is easy to follow. There's not this part of me that's like, what about all that? There's just a couple. It just didn't feel memorable. Like it just felt like
Right.
a safe,
Right.
good movie. And if you didn't tell me it was Spike Lee, I wouldn't have known it was Spike Lee. If his name
Mhm.
wasn't on the credits and somebody gave me a version of this movie and they said, what popular director directed this? I wouldn't think him. I really wouldn't, and I think that's the movie's biggest downfall is it doesn't feel
Right.
like it comes
It
from
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't have his signature on his print like a Scorsese or a Spielberg. You can always tell a Scorsese Spielberg film. Well, I tell you what, I probably would have figured it out though. Like, okay, once I saw the Denzel floating scene where he was floating, I'm like, that looks like something Spike Lee would do, and I probably would have put it together from there. He's known for doing that in like all of his movies.
right. I feel like
Yeah.
the rest of the movie would have had me like scratching my head a little bit. Like I said, there's those Spike Lee isms, the music,
Mhm.
kind of like those camera shots you're talking about, the
Right.
element with his, Denzel's girl back home.
Mhm.
There were these little moments that felt like Spike Lee, but there were so few and far between in a movie that doesn't really feel like it has his DNA. But like
Right.
again, good movie, like good movie for sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, they did a hell of a better job than these bastards. Like, if you ever seen Dead Presidents, like, dog, this is one of my favorite movies. I got the poster, but man, the worst bank robbers in the history of cinema,
Yeah,
man.
you're not wrong.
The worst.
That's one of those that I remember that I covered with you too that I wasn't crazy about, but
Oh, you
it had,
covered Dead Presidents with me?
yeah, we
Oh,
did
that's
that
right, we
present.
did. Ah,
Yeah,
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 okay,
yeah. The
yeah,
part I remember the most out of that is Chris Tucker, and of course the main guy who I obviously we the first thing we covered that had him in it was I can't remember the actor's name right now.
Oh,
Um,
Lorenz Tate.
yeah,
Yeah,
when we covered Menace to Society, that was the first
mhm,
thing I'd ever seen him in. Um,
right.
and he's
Yeah,
great, man. I like him a lot. He's one of those actors that like like where do you go with I don't really see him in anything anymore.
yeah. No, he does a lot more TV now. And that guy, let me tell you something. That guy's a vampire. Tell me how this dude's like 4 years older than me, but I look 20 years older than him. This motherfucker just doesn't age, man. He still looks the same way he did like in Dead Presidents, man. That was over almost 30 years ago.
Really? Damn. I mean, good on him. Shit.
The motherfucker just don't age. But like I said, worst bank robbers in history. Like, dude, like I'm thinking about how because remember they had the one dude, he was the pyromaniac, the one that blew his hand off. And the whole thing was they were supposed to blow the door off of the truck, and this dude blew the whole damn truck up. And all the money got burned. And I said, dog, what the and Chris Tucker came and he's like, man, you blew the whole motherfucking truck up, motherfucker. Like, damn. Yeah, man. But yeah, so I give the movie props, man. You know, I mean, I prefer this, but yeah, Inside Man definitely had a like dog the whole idea of taking everybody. Because at first I was like, why are they making them strip their clothes and everything? And then when it came together, I said, oh, smart bastards, have them all wear the same things. When they all come out, they don't know who's who.
Right,
you know?
right.
And at the end, they have to let everybody go. I'm like, smart.
Yeah, no, it is a cleverly written film in a lot of ways, but like you said, sometimes almost a little too smart for its own good.
Right. So yeah, so that wraps up our Inside Man review. But like you said, next month, you know, coming up, man, I'm excited, man. I got goosebumps right now. We got a whole bunch of stuff to cover. Even listen, I haven't watched WrestleMania since 2001, and I'm gonna be watching WrestleMania for the first time in over 20 something years. I'm excited because The Rock is back. You know.
All right, nice, yeah. I'm not super well versed in the world of wrestling, but I know people get hyped for WrestleMania, so I'm sure it'll be good, especially if he's coming back. You know, like I'm sure I'll see clips online and stuff.
Right, but here's the thing, though: the Rock has come back before, but see, the thing about it, Perez, I like heel Rock. I like Rock when he's talking shit, smacking the shit out of people. You know what I'm saying? Like old school. You know, I'll slap the taste out of your mouth. You know, with your monkey ass. You know, I like Rock. Humble Rock, I'm not a fan of. I don't like humble. Like if you follow him on Instagram, Perez, he's always, well, I just want to show a lot of gratitude and thank you to the fans. Because if it wasn't for the fans, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Like, no, man. I will listen. I like The Rock. Where if I say Rock, man, I love you. Shut up before I slap the fucking ball off your head. You know, yes, talk shit to me. Like, you know, I don't want Samuel Jackson to shake my hand and say, nice to meet you. If I shake Samuel Jackson's hand, I want him to say, hey, motherfucker, you know, do what you do.
But those are characters, you know, at the end of the day, like hopefully The Rock comes back and gives people what he wants out of the character of The Rock.
Right,
you know?
right.
Which even hopefully he does. Like, I've seen clips of the most recent years where he's come back, and I know he's talked a little smack on the mic. You know, he's not Moana, not Moana Rock.
Yeah, not Moana, right? No. Yeah, the Rock that we have now, the Rock that's coming back to this WrestleMania is the Rock from like the late '90s during the Attitude Era when he was wrestling Stone Cold and Undertaker and all those guys like that. That's back when I had hair. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna be tuning into WrestleMania and just so much stuff, man. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, dude, we definitely will have no shortage of things to talk about. You know, time that's the worst thing. I feel like I just have less time. You know, but But I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to all the cool stuff we got coming out.
Yeah, we'll plug your channel in real quick, man. Let the people know what you got coming up, what you've dropped recently, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you. So Rashad and I have been doing these tit for tats now since 2020. It's been a hot minute. We've covered, I know, dude, 4 years, dude. We've covered dozens and dozens of movies on my channel, on Rashad's channel, and during the pandemic alone, we had all the time in the world. I mean, we were bouncing out 1-2 videos on each other's channels a week. We were popping out all the time. So if for anybody who didn't see the earlier part of this stream, you know, we're gonna kind of slow down on that for right now. You know, we have one more Harry Potter to do on my channel with Rashad, and then I'm gonna do one more for Rashad's channel too. He will let me know either now or later on what movie he wants me to cover. I'll be back on again, and don't worry, there'll be more tit for tats in the future. Just time is of the essence lately. But yeah, over on my channel right now, most recent videos, review for Bob Marley, One Love, review for Madam Web. And then, yeah, just coming up this week, I'll be doing my 14th and final video on the Land Before Time series that I've been covering with my buddy Mike from our buddy Mike from Did You See That? Obviously, definitely different than all the other movies we're talking about here. Those movies are made for kids, but try to cover everything I can. Like I said, seeing Dune Part 2 tomorrow. We'll be having, I think the review embargo lifts at noon on Wednesday. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts early, go over to my channel, subscribe. I'll have that review out on Wednesday. And then this Thursday, I'm planning on seeing something. I'm not sure what I'm going to see. I think I'm seeing something called like Drive Away Dolls or Drive Up Dolls, some new
Oh, I heard
comedy.
about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
isn't that A24, right? Or no,
I think so. Yeah. So the
okay.
new comedy, like road trip kind of movie that's coming out this weekend. So I'll have that review up. And yeah, just as usual, just be dropping reviews week to week. I got an early screening of Kung Fu Panda coming next week or something like that too. So
Nice.
new review for Kung Fu Panda 4 coming out
Yeah.
soon. Oh, I see that Mike just chimed in and we were just talking about it before
Big
time,
Mike.
saying that he's actually seen Inside Man. Look at that. Mike has seen a movie.
What the hell? Oh shit! It's a full moon. Something Mike has finally seen. Goddamn. Man, I was just on his channel. I think it was 2 weeks ago. He did. We had a watch party. We watched Spaghetti Man.
Yeah. He invited me on for that when I had to work, but I watched after the fact, and you guys, I skipped through because obviously I know it was like a watch along, but your reactions to parts were making me laugh.
Man, Perez, you missed out, man. You was in for a treat with that one, man. That was so like the true definition of so bad is good. I enjoyed it, man. A couple people didn't too much care for, but I dug it. I'm like, come on, man. A dude whose superpower is spaghetti. He shoots spaghetti out of his hands like Spider-Man. Like, come on.
That's
Can't
awesome.
beat that. Awesome. Retro Babe, what's up?
What's up?
What's going on? Mike ain't seen. Then Mike's seen shit. You still ain't seen shit, motherfucker.
Yeah, I tell him that all the time. When he tells me something, I'm like, "Oh, you ain't seen shit," and then he'd be like, "I've actually seen quite a bit." I'm like, "I know, I know you've seen, but you still ain't seen shit. There's still a lot of great stuff." But he's seen this one now. He's seen this one that we both watched for the first time. So
right.
There's a couple of holes in our armor too.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, as far as what I got coming up, actually I don't have anything planned because like I said, January and February has been kind of a slow month, and usually I cover like the power shows, like Power and Raising Canaan and all that stuff. But right. I fell back from that, man, because I'm tired of shows dealing with drug dealers. I'm drug dealered out, man. Like I don't watch so many shows about drug dealing. I feel like I can go out there and be a drug dealer right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? The lingo, the terminology, like the plug and all that stuff. Like, I know all that shit. I don't want to, I'm tired, man. I don't want to see no more of it. So, yeah, I think what's the last video I put out? For Bob Marley, One Love, which I thought was dope.
Yeah.
It's getting mixed reviews, though. Like, some people are saying that it wasn't that good. It could have been a lot better. And some people saying that, well, with biopics, you're always going to have those, well, it left out this, and this. Look, you can't cover everything. Yeah. All right. This man was alive for 36 years. You're not gonna get every damn thing.
Right. Because then when you do that, you end up having a choppy biopic that jumped around so much, and you don't spend enough time in certain places. When I saw the trailer, I knew it was really typical. It seemed to me it was going to lead up to the big Peace concert.
Right.
That was as somebody who knows Bob Marley's story. It was clear to me that that's what they were going to do. Kind of like when Bohemian Rhapsody was coming out, like it was clear they were leading up to that big concert that that iconic Queen concert. That one though jumped around in time a little bit more to kind of like set up that one was more interested in telling us the setup of how Queen came to be. Whereas Bob Marley, it shows you a little bit of how Bob Marley came to be, but it's not really about how him and the Wailers got popular. It's more kind of it is, but it's more about like his message, and kind of like some of the. I really like the movie, man. Like I thought it was great. It's probably I think confidently I could say now, and mind you, we're only in February, but I think it's my favorite movie of 2024 so far.
I would say this, and I know you disagree with Book of Clarence. I put those two up there.
Yeah, Book man, I think I need to watch Book of Clarence again. I think for me, like it just. And mind you, man, and I got anybody who knows me knows I've talked about it. Like I got a lot of hate on that video from people, obviously because I have white skin, and that's the reason I hate the movie apparently. But for me, it's like it was more about just like this. I just thought I went into it excited, and I said it in my review. Like, I thought it was gonna be good cast. It seemed so clever.
Right.
I grew up in a Christian household, so I'm pretty well versed in like the Bible and stuff like that. So it was like interesting to see how they played off with certain things and what they joked on, but what they respected at the same time.
Right.
But I wanted to like it more, man. It just like by the time it came to the end, I just felt like so many good elements about it in a movie that just didn't connect with me story wise.
Right.
You know, there was moments that made me laugh and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I definitely would say Bob Marley is probably my favorite movie this year so far. Probably number 2 is Argyle, but that's another movie that's getting a lot of mixed reviews. So I think I think we're in a time, bro, where there's not really a lot of movies. Like every here and there, we get an Infinity War and Endgame that's like really beloved, or something like Across the Spider-Verse that like everybody was like, yeah, that was a good one, you know. But it's very few and far between, man. Because even a movie that will be heavily praised will be like just all over the place, you know. There's no real like, even some of the movies that were nominated for Best Picture this year, you know, like some of them were really good, but then they're not for everybody, man. Like people, like something like Poor Things, or like, you know, even something like Maestro that was nominated this year for a lot of things with Bradley Cooper. I love that movie.
I still haven't seen that. Yeah, I still haven't seen that.
Some people thought it was. I like knowing you. I feel like you'd be somebody who like you might struggle with that movie a little bit. I thought it was, because it's really slow. It's a slow paced movie. It's a slow paced biopic. A lot of it is in black and white. A lot of it's very quiet. Most of it is just dialogue. And it leads up to like a really big composing scene near the end. With Bradley Cooper at that point just killed it. But it's, you know, it's a very slow moving movie. And so yeah, you know, that's a movie I gave a really high review to, really high score. I saw it did really well with critics and stuff, but I know a lot of people who saw it and just didn't like it or thought it was boring, you know. And it's just, we're in this time now where like there's such a divide across for like most movies. So at this point, when I see a movie like Bob Marley and I really liked it and people didn't like it, I'm just like, hey, you know.
You just don't give a shit. Yeah, because you know what, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like doing this YouTube thing, sometimes you go into a movie and you're like, okay, am I supposed to like this or am I not supposed to like it? And then when the movie's over with, you're like, damn, I thought that shit was dope, but what if people really hate it though? You know what I'm saying?
And that's happened so many times, man, where I've like I've filmed a video and I go and I give it a really good review and then I like I see that the reaction is over time and I'm like, wow, like talk about just being on the complete like opposite end of just like the reactions that people are having with movies. And yeah, you're seeing that a little bit with Bob Marley. It's got bad, funny enough, it's one that's got bad reviews with the critics, and bad reviews with the critics, but like the Rotten Tomato score is pretty high with audiences. So I think most people who are seeing the movie are enjoying it.
Right.
And then there's like that like it's like just everybody's not really liking that one.
Yeah, well, I think the issue with the Bob Marley movie, I think people were expecting one of those biopics where from birth to death, you know, and just show everything. Whereas, you know, I mean, I got it, you know, so not to say that I'm like this, you know, intellect, like, oh yes, I understood and I understand what most people don't. But I clearly saw that, you know, it's about his journey of, you know, being a musician to somebody that changes the world. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, this is what I took from it. It's like after that failed assassination attempt, he almost like gave up on Jamaica. He just wanted to go do music, and that was it. But then he figured out that no, I got a purpose, man. I could change the world, you know. So while he was recording that Exodus album, it was also self-discovery, you know what I'm saying, and then also showing rules, you know, with him and his wife or whatever, which was probably, you know, that was like, I say that's the Jamaican version of Fences, like the scene with him and the wife. It reminded me of Denzel and of Viola Davis, you know, the snot scene when she's like, you know, I've always been there for you, you know. That was my favorite scene of the whole movie. So yeah, it was more just about his accepting the fact that he's an icon as opposed to just being a musician, you know what I'm saying? Like to this day, like, I mean, I know, you know, like I grew up around a lot of Jamaicans. My mom had 2 Jamaican boyfriends while I was growing up, you know, not at the same time, but you know, and Bob Marley is like Jesus to Jamaicans, okay? Like you know, how white people love Elvis and how, you know, hood people, well, not hood people, just black people love Tupac. Jamaicans love Bob Marley, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, wrap it up. Yeah, I loved it, man.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a great movie, man. And when I started like seeing some of the negative reviews from some of my our peers, you know, on Letterboxd, I was just like, I just had to be like, man, I'm so okay being on the opposite side of this with you know, it's like it just is what it is. It was kind of like when I thought like my favorite movie of 2022 was Everything Everywhere All at Once. And
Right.
that's one of those movies. Anytime somebody says anything negative about it, you can take that opinion and shove it up your ass, because that movie is
No,
absolute
hey,
gold.
you gotta say like the Rock, man. Take that shine that some bitch, stick it up sideways up your candy ass.
Yeah, exactly. That's as far as I'm concerned, that's exactly what you can do. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Then there's some movies that like I see them and I go, great movie for me. I already know this movie's not going to work for everybody. That's just a
Yeah.
perfect example. I think you said you hadn't seen this one yet, which was Poor Things with Emma
Haven't seen
Stone.
that.
I thought it was excellent. It's so well made, but it is so not for everybody. So I have a coworker like who saw it and she didn't like it. Now, mind you, this coworker is like openly like asexual. So like anything sexual, they're not really into it. Like even
Right.
like the idea of being sexual with another person, they don't like it. Sex in movies, they don't like any of that. So when they told me they didn't like the movie, I was like, that's fine, because it totally made sense to me, because while I thought the
Right.
movie was excellent, the movie is like Emma Stone is like there's like a lot of sex in the movie. And so if you're
Okay.
somebody who struggles with that, you're not gonna like the movie, even if the movie has a good story and all this different things that you can connect to.
I gotta check it out. I'm hearing nothing but good things about it, really. So yeah,
Yeah, I think that as a
I'm
film
interested.
fan, you'll appreciate so much about it, especially the performances and like the set design and stuff. But yeah, man, like
Right.
it does. It's very weird. It's very weird. So it's not gonna work for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's I really
Yeah,
dislike everything everywhere all at once, but I enjoyed
yeah, I
it.
know. I've read your letterbox reviews in the past
Yeah.
about that one. Yeah, that were like a senior scores. Yeah, like that's just one that I'm just like I just don't like a movie for me. That's a perfect movie in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
if
yeah.
it was really good for me, I'm just like, yeah, I'm okay. It's kind of like Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse. Like for me, Across the Spider-Verse was my favorite movie of last year, because for me it was a perfect movie. Like
Right.
it was the
Right.
perfect follow-up to that first movie. It did everything it had to do. It told its own story. It set up its own thing. It has its own payoffs that with like lines that are, like that what's it called? The call and response of a
Right.
line
Right.
from earlier in the movie to the later. Everything about it just gave you everything while leaving you with a great ending, but a cliffhanger that excites you for the next movie. Like
Right.
in so
Right.
many ways, the movie was perfect. And so whenever somebody's like, oh, I didn't like it, I'm just like, all right, like
Yeah.
like your opinion's yours. It's cool to ride with it, but like if you can give me good reasons as to why, sure, but more often than not, I
Yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
heard any.
Yeah, I mean, no, yeah, do what you do, man. It just comes with it. This shit that you're
Yeah.
gonna love, that people. But I just have a few where don't talk about these movies or we're fighting. And one of those is Rocky 3, which is my all-time favorite movie. I don't care. You talk about that movie, we are going to fisticuffs. Okay, that's it and that's all.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
yeah. Whenever that's like with me with Star Wars, man. At this point, like
Yeah.
I love it so much that like whenever somebody just wants like I get so tired of the online discourse. Like, all right, you didn't like
Right.
that one movie, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I one thing I get tired of is in this world we're in, with especially with like long running franchises, is this franchise is back. This franchise
Right.
is over. This franchise is back. It's like, bro, like with anything, some things you're gonna like some things more than others. Like I've
Yeah.
been a diehard Marvel fan since I was a kid. Like the comics, the books, the video games, the cartoons, and then we started getting all these movies. And you know what, man? So many of the movies that have come out since they started making movies heavily to now have sucked, and
Yeah.
plenty of them have been good, and some of them have grown on me over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a kid, I used to love the Fantastic Four movies that came out in the early 2000s. Then
Yeah.
I got older and I
Yeah.
was like, those movies aren't great. But now, all these years later, since we haven't had a good Fantastic Four movie in a long time, I'm like, those movies capture the spirit of the comics. They're cheesy.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know what the Fantastic Four is. Then you got that 2014 one, not great. But in the mix, we just got Madam Web. But I'm not going to be like, you know what, Marvel movies are trash, even though some of them, they've just we're in an oversaturated era, and some
Right.
things have just not worked. But some of them have been great. Just
Yeah.
we got Across the Spider-Verse just last year.
Right.
Incredible Marvel related project.
Right.
We got like people are always like, oh, Endgame, everything sucks past Endgame. It's like, all right, well, there's been some duds for sure, but there's been No Way Home, there's been
I was about to
Shang-Chi.
say No Way
Like,
Home.
yeah, there's
With
been a
Shang-Chi,
there's
I
and,
wasn't.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like Shang-Chi, but then there's been some of the shows. I know you weren't crazy about it, but like I love Moon Knight. I like Loki. I think for the most part has worked for most people. WandaVision was one most people were positive on. So there's been like there's been fun stuff that's come out of the mix. There's been some mixed bags for sure, but like
Right,
I'm not gonna
right.
be here and be like Marvel's dead, and it's like because now all that's gonna happen is the next movie is gonna come out and it's gonna turn out being great, and everybody's gonna be like
Right.
Marvel's back. It's like the same thing happens with Star Wars. It's like
Mhm.
people hate some people. Force Awakens, Star Wars is back. The Last Jedi. Some people were like, hell yeah. Some people were like, Star Wars is ruined. And then Solo,
Yeah.
Star Wars is ruined. Rogue One, Star Wars is back. It's just like, okay, bro,
Yeah.
shut the fuck up at a certain
Well,
point.
that's why I try not to be too. What's what I'm looking for? I try not to be too. What? Not absolute or whatever. Like, hey, absolute. I guess I'm gonna use that word. Yeah, because I'll say for now. I said because like you know me, I'll be like, man, Marvel's fucking up, or I'll say, man, Star Wars is fucking up. But that's
Right,
present tense, but not saying they can never get back on track. So that's
right,
where I'd be at. You know what I'm saying? So if Marvel releases like a few duds where I'm like, what the fuck? I'd be like, man, Marvel fucking up. You know, but then it comes with something good. I'd be like, you know, because I'm always gonna be a fan. You know,
right.
I'm a loyal. Listen, if I can survive the New York Knicks not being good since the '90s, I can survive Marvel and Star Wars droughts. Okay, I am a fan to the end. All right,
Right.
The Giants and the Knicks are my two favorite teams, and they haven't been good for years. So listen, I am a loyal fan, but I will call it when y'all fucking up. All right,
Right. I think
but
that's the best thing you can do for anything that you love, right? Like,
yeah,
just like, criticize what you didn't love and move
mm-hmm,
on. Like, for instance, another one that Star Wars is back is Mandalorian. When after the sequel
yeah,
trilogy, people
yeah,
loved the Mandalorian, but the
yeah,
last season, even me, I had my more gripes with this
mm-hmm,
last season than most people did.
right,
Or than I had more than I had in previous seasons is what I should say. But it was a season that people
mm-hmm,
that, that didn't connect to people the same way, and you just
yeah,
hope that, you just hope that the creators hear that and they
yeah, yeah,
work
yeah,
on it moving forward. But it's like, well, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie comes out next year in theaters. All of our
right,
fucking actors are going to be in the theater. Like, it just is
yeah,
what it is.
yeah.
And then people are going to be like, Star Wars is back if it's good. It's just like, I don't know. It's
Right,
like,
right. So wait, so is Pascal still going to be the Mandalorian, even though he just got casted for Reed Richards?
yeah, I'm assuming so for sure. I mean, it's all under the same umbrella. I'm sure
Yeah.
they're like, there's no way, especially now that they announced the movie. Like the
Right,
Mandalorian and
right.
Grogu is the next Star Wars movie. So that's
Yeah.
exciting. Like, and John Favreau is going to direct. I love John Favreau as a
Nice,
director.
nice.
So
Yeah.
with Dave Filoni, like as part of like producing and writing team and stuff like that, along with John Favreau. So like, they got good
Mhm.
hands on deck there.
Right.
Ahsoka season 2 is coming. Essentially Rebel season, 6.
3.0.
But
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's just like going back to what we were saying before. It's like it's kind of being the absolutes. That's one thing that the movie world and doing YouTube
Mhm.
um is what is his percentages?
Oh,
The
the
one
Iron
movie.
Giant. The one movie I can't stand why people hate is the Iron. I've never seen the Iron Giant, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
that's a great movie, man. But that's kind of the thing, right? It's like there's certain movies that people just want to hate, and sometimes
Mhm.
that you just have to chalk it up to the subjective nature of art. Like
Right, right, right.
everybody's got different kind of thing. Like, it just is what it is. Even if you can appreciate something from the outside, you may not just like, it's just not your cup of tea. Like, with film, I feel like
Well,
you're a little bit more well-rounded, but like I think of something like music. I
yeah.
like rap and hip hop in
Mm.
concept, and I listen to a lot of it. I'd be like, yeah, this sounds good. I like this, but it never calls me to listen to it on my own. I have
Right.
songs that are on my playlist, popular ones that might pop up, something from like Eminem or Dr. Dre or
Mm.
Snoop Dogg or something. Just
Well, the
insert
artists of
popular.
the past, like the shit now is trash though. So if you don't listen to hip hop now, I totally understand
Right.
because hip hop
If
now
there's
is
anybody like,
trash.
if there's anybody now that I'll listen to that pops up every here and there is like J. Cole. But like
Yeah.
outside of that, like, I just prefer my like rock and metal and stuff like that. So I tend to, so like, that's where like I can
Mm.
understand that like with certain movies, they're just not gonna click with everybody. And that with some people they
Well,
will.
look, let me ask you: is there a movie or certain movies where universally they're loved, but but for you it's like, man, people love this movie, but I don't get it. I don't like the shit.
It's tough, man. I think it depends. Sometimes it's like cult movies. I find
Hmm.
like those are the ones that tend to be like a hit or miss. But
Right.
every here and there, I guess I can't think of one off the top of my head right now. But every here and there, I'll see something. But I feel like I have such an appreciation for film
Hmm.
that sometimes like I am the kind of person, like I have a coworker who said this to me. He said like, bro, you really just you give yourselves to movies when you watch them. And I go, I think that's the way you should watch them. Like,
Right.
so
Right.
I'm really of the mentality where like I give a movie my full opportunity to like be impressed by something. And
Hmm.
I think reviewing movies and wanting to come across intelligent or like have like an eloquent way of talking about things has really put me in a position where I want to give that piece of art a real
Yeah.
shot, you know? So
Yeah.
when I watch an old movie and I'm reviewing stuff like the old Universal horror movies from the 30s or the 40s and stuff, like I know I can't go into it with this brain of like a guy who just watched,
Mhm.
Avatar: The Way of Water, like
Right. Right.
I gotta put myself into like the filmmaker's mind of a different time. And so every here and there I'm struggling to remember one. I think of one right now, but
Well,
they're
I got two for you.
yeah, go for it.
And this is an exclusive. I might do a video about this, but there's two of them, but there's one particular one where I was in the closet lover of this movie. Okay, I was in the
Okay.
closet. I had to, you know what I'm saying, because it's popular to say like, man, this is great. Like this is one of the best movies. This director, when it comes to this movies, that's number one. But for me, like I don't hate it, but it just never did it for me. Where I'm like, damn, I love this movie. I thought it was an okay movie. It was all right, but that's Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is considered Tarantino's masterpiece. I was not crazy, but I tried to watch it recently with my cousins because I got twin cousins that's in high school, and they walked over to my apartment. They wanted to see Pulp Fiction. Said they've never seen Pulp Fiction before. I said, oh, yeah, that's a classic. Yeah, okay, I'll throw it on for you. So I put it on and we're watching it, and all of us are sitting there. We're like, shit's kind of boring, isn't it? You know what I mean?
I mean, hey, man, fair enough, right? Like
Yeah.
that's one of those things sometimes with some of these movies, like especially from like big directors, that have prestige.
Mm-hmm.
You can appreciate what the movie is and why it's
Right.
so popular, right? But it doesn't have to fully connect with you in a lot of ways. And that's like I look at something like even Scorsese's latest film,
Mm-hmm.
Killers of the
Oh,
Flower
Killers of the
Moon.
Flower Moon. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that movie is excellent on every level when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
filmmaking, but it is boring and long as shit. Like there's just no way
Right.
to get around it. Like I thought the
Right.
movie was absolutely beautiful. It was so well shot. The performances were stellar.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw all the nominations it got, I go, Chef's kiss,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
The Scorsese is still at the top of his game. The movie is just long and
Mm-hmm.
boring. So when some people aren't crazy about it, I get it. But it's still
Yeah.
beautiful. It's still well made.
Right.
I'd watch it
Right.
again. I'd give it another shot to now that I've felt that initial length of it, to
Mm-hmm.
give it some time, But I'm not surprised by all the love it's getting in any way, shape, or
Yeah.
form. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I
it's
mean,
it's
it's
well
a
deserved.
fucked up movie. It's a fucked up movie too. Like when I watched, I
Right.
said, "Damn." I said, "There's some evil people in this world, man." But yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was very long in the tooth, man. And Scorsese lately has been like really making these long, like 8-hour movies for some reason. I don't know if he's just getting old and wants to. I don't know.
I think he's trying to almost combat the because he's been very vocal in recent years about things like the Marvel movies and the things that run the
Right.
movie theaters, like the big spectacle
Mm-hmm.
action movies or something that that they're like roller coaster rides or theme park attractions versus like
Right.
cinema, and obviously there's a debate to be had there, a conversation to be had there, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's trying to combat that, and trying to make these movies that feel like
Cinema.
you're there for the
Yeah.
story, you're there for the
Right.
cinema, you're there
Right.
for the
Yeah.
filmmaking versus the spectacle of it. Which man, I like that we still got it. I like that we have
Mm-hmm.
those options. Man, again, if
Right.
somebody gives movies a fair shot,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, I truly feel I'm going to see that tomorrow with Dune Part 2. Like that movie for me, based on the first one, and I liked the first one by
Mm-hmm.
Denis Villeneuve. I thought that it was a great first part, but
Yeah.
it's part of a story. It's only part of it, so
Right.
it doesn't really feel complete. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't tickle. It didn't scratch that ultimate itch I want out of a
Right.
movie. But I
Right.
knew that the other parts were coming, and the filmmaking is so fucking top notch that it's like
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm gonna witness cinema at the theater tomorrow, and
Yeah.
hopefully it gives some more payoff and build up to the story because I think there's another part or two still coming.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I still have to expect that there's more to come. But I know that when that full picture is complete and you can binge all those Dune movies, it's gonna be fucking epic.
Right. Hell
Um,
yeah. Hell
so
yeah.
it's one of those things where I'm glad that we still have that kind of level, and then I can also still be like, oh man, a couple weeks I'm gonna see Kung Fu Panda 4. Like I
Yeah.
like that. I like that balance. So that's why at the beginning of this year, sure, there's been some duds, but like I'm like, all right, cool. Like Beekeeper was like stupid fun for me. Like, you know, like I like that I can go see a movie like that, or Argyle in the theater. You know, I
Right,
like that I can
right.
go see a biopic like Bob Marley. I like that we have
Mhm.
those options, you know, that
Right, right.
scratch those different itches, you know. So for me,
Mhm.
having a lot of duds this year and nothing that's felt like really serious story wise that could really like
Right.
outside of Bob Marley, honestly, but something like story wise that felt like it really took me somewhere. I'm expecting that from Dune tomorrow,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
moving forward, you know, in the coming weeks and months, I feel like we're going to continue to see that. But I know that throughout this year, we have some just fun movies coming out too, you know, and
Mhm,
like
mhm.
there's to be some fun silliness to be had. Anyway, so I feel like we lost track a little bit. I was rambling there, but going
Yeah,
back
yeah,
to
that's all good.
yeah, man, every here and there, you know, I'll see something and I'm like, yeah, I don't get the
Yeah.
hype per se 100% around across the board.
And then,
Um,
and then, and then you feel bad too because I feel bad that I don't love Pulp Fiction, but like I said, I've been in the closet for years about that one. You know what I'm saying? Because people praise it so much, and I'm like, yeah, Pulp Fiction, all right, you know. And I convinced myself so much where I started believing my own bullshit.
right, right,
Perez, I believe my own bullshit. I'm like, yeah, Pulp Fiction is great. And like I said, when I watched it with my cousins, we're all like, this shit's kind of boring. And then my cousin even asked me, well, what's the point of this movie? And I said, I wish I could tell you. I don't know, you know. But like I said, I don't hate Pulp Fiction. You know, I think I would say it's a good movie, but I don't put it up there like with the best of anything I've ever. Like, you know, when it comes to Tarantino movies, I always say Jackie Brown's my favorite. Reservoir Dogs, I really liked. Of course, Django, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Kill Bill joints. I would put Pulp Fiction almost below those. You know what I'm saying? Like my least
right,
favorite
right.
is Inglorious Bastards. I wasn't crazy about Inglorious Bastards.
Really, that's actually that's one of my favorite
That's what he was.
Tarantino
Yeah,
films.
I
Yeah.
was. I wasn't crazy about because it was just so slow. Like that first act, I struggled through. Man, it was so fucking slow. But I
Yeah.
heard it. You know, we get the Tarantino carnage at the end where it pays off. But because honestly, I never finished Inglorious Bastards. Maybe I need.
Oh, dude.
Maybe if I finished it, I'll probably have a better
Yeah, I'd recommend
appreciation
giving
for it.
giving it like a fresh watch today with like some new eyes because man,
Okay.
there's something about like the performances of that movie and like the way that
Mhm.
scenes are staged. Just that opening scene alone. I don't know how well you remember the opening scene, but
Yeah, I
like
remember the openings. And that was actually dope. That was actually
it's
dope.
super super clever and like the
Yeah.
movie just has like a lot of tension. So you have these moments and they focus on all these different characters. So when you get
Hmm.
to the closer to the end and all these characters have their own agenda and they all happen to be in the same place at the same time and
Right.
they all have their own plans for what they're going to do in the final like segment of the film and
Hmm.
everything starts going crazy like then that's like it just like the storytelling is so clever in that movie.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. But I
Okay.
mean
Okay.
that's a perfect example, right? Like just the film is subjective, man. Like
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Yeah.
but I
So.
think sometimes we all get like you know what, it's something I try to stop doing now is like
Mm,
just try to like let my videos speak for themselves for anybody who
right.
watches them and like listens to what I have to say and agrees. But I always end my videos with like, so what did you guys think? Did you like this movie? Did you not like this movie? You
Mm,
know, let me know your thoughts. If I hated a movie, I'll be like, hey, if you like this, let me know what I missed down below. What did you
right.
like
Right.
about
Right.
it? Some people won't get to that, so they'll instantly be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, like what you mean you don't like this movie? You know, and then they'll come for you based on like the title or the thumbnail
right.
or like the first
Right.
10, you know, the first like 10 seconds of the video.
Hmm.
And I've kind of just like stopped arguing with people in the comments, you know, like every here and
Right.
there I'll go back and I'll kind of respond to somebody, but like I'll just be thanking people for watching and chiming in at this point because it's just like
Yeah.
at a
Well,
certain
you
point,
know
like
what?
when arguing with when you argue via like
Yeah.
the film world, sometimes people just want to go back and forth in like the
Hmm.
comments. And I'm just
Hmm.
like, ain't nobody got time for that.
Just trolling. Yeah. Well, you know what? And Darnell actually proved something too because you know Darnell, you know, Rejected Heroes Media.
Right, right,
He did an experiment when he reviewed Prey. In the thumbnail, he put that he was implying that the movie sucked, right? He was saying that
right.
Prey was trash, whatever. But in reality, he actually liked the movie, but he was trying to see something. And of course, in the review, he praised the movie, but people was in the comments crucifying him like back to back, like, bro, how can you not like this movie, man? You trash, yada yada yada. And they obviously didn't watch the video.
Right.
I
No, it's,
said, God damn it,
that's
yeah.
exactly what happened to me recently with my review for Book of Clarence. You know, it's like I put in the title that I wanted to love it, but I didn't.
Right.
And man, the amount of like just visceral like like
Mhm.
instant, like, and I sent you some of those messages. The amount of
Yeah.
instant, like, oh, you're white, you wouldn't get it, or like all
Right.
these different, like people just were like instantly like. But if you watch my review, like
I saw the review.
bro,
Yeah, you showed respect. I mean, you wasn't in love with it, but at the same time, you did say there were things about the movie that you did like. So
yeah,
you did.
I praised a lot about the movie. And lately, one thing I've been trying to do about structuring my reviews, and it doesn't always
Mhm.
work out that way. Sometimes my mouth just runs, but
Right.
I've been trying to structure my review where I talk about what the movie's all about, talk about
Mhm.
all the things I really liked about it, and all the cast members and who was strong in the film, and sometimes being a few minutes into the video and then give my opinion on the film.
Right. Right.
Um, because I feel like, and I even had people comment like, "Hey man, but based on the way you were talking about this movie, it seemed like you really liked it." And then you said, "But I want to really, be able to give a movie its due
Mhm.
diligence and
Mhm.
be as like respectful to like the filmmaking crafts, because at the
Right.
end of the
Right.
day,
Right.
whether I like the movie or not, just like with this
Mhm.
movie, it's like we respect Spike Lee. Like we're
Yeah.
talking about Inside
That's
Man.
that's
We
my
may
dude.
not,
Yeah, dude, man.
right,
Yeah.
right, and we respect what it takes to make a movie. It's not an easy thing. Like
Right. Right.
I try to keep that in mind when I watch a movie and when I review movies. Like, I think about
Mhm.
like all the hurdles and loops and money and like sometimes you get something and you got to work with it because that actor had to
Right.
fly out the next day to go do something. So if a shot
Right.
didn't work
Right.
100%, you hope the audience didn't capture it, catch it. But if there's something that just didn't work, something that just didn't work, and you kind of just
Yeah.
have to make do with what you got. And so that's why when you got
Mhm.
something that's beautiful and incredible, it's like awesome. But when you got something that's
Right.
like a mixed bag, like talking about it and but still being respectful about all the stuff that still worked in it. Like Book of
Mhm.
Clarence for me was like beautifully shot, beautifully acted. Like the
Right.
music was great, the cinematography, the way the movie was structured in a lot of ways really good. The story just didn't connect with me. That's
Yeah.
really what it came
Yeah.
down to. But I still thought it was really really good in a lot of other ways. And there was
Right.
moments when we fucking die laughing, especially like the whole Jesus thing at the end,
Mhm.
with a very specific actor that appears.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought was a nice surprise because I didn't know, I couldn't tell based on how we see the
Right.
actor throughout the movie.
Right.
I couldn't
Right.
tell it was him, and I didn't know going into it that it was him. And so it was like, wow,
Mhm.
what a clever way to kind of like play on itself and like play on the Bible and kind of like
Right.
it was a clever movie, man. It was
No,
a clever movie.
it was, but like I said, that just goes to show. That's why I mean, I try to be as respectful as I can, but man, you know me. Sometimes when a movie pisses me off, it gets my pressure up.
No,
I
I get it,
just
dude.
it's that New York coming out of me, man. I was born and raised in New York, 18 years, man. So and sometimes I can't help it, bro. Like I'll be quick to say, I say it in my sleep, I say, get the fuck out of here. I say it in my sleep, man. I sometimes I can't help it, but that half the time people don't watch the whole video anyway, man. So that's why I
Right,
say what the fuck I want to say. And sometimes I save the most meaty part to the end to see if a motherfuckers actually listening. They'd
right,
be like, "Rashad, wait, what? You must didn't get to the end of the video, nigga. I said it at the end of the damn video. Oh
right,
well, I just you wasn't listening, motherfucker."
right.
All right, man. So yeah, not take much more of your time, man. Perez, I appreciate you doing this with me, bro. It's always fun, always a pleasure talking movies with you, and this tit for tat thing we've been doing, and can't wait to get back to it again, bro. And I promise you, this time I will come into this next Harry Potter movie with some knowledge. All right, I'm not gonna come into it, because people say my day. Well, Rashad can fuck some names up, Kenny. Yes, I can fuck some names up. Okay, I know I messed up a lot of names, the pronunciations and all that, but I'm gonna do better next time, man. I promise.
Yeah,
All
man.
right.
Hermione and Gandalf appeared in the last movie.
Oh shit! Hey, look, Perez, when you get old, man, you notice that. Well, I'm not to say that I'm old, but when you get older, you start pronouncing names wrong, and sometimes you even call people the wrong damn names. Like sometimes I'll be trying to call my daughter, I'll put out 5 different names before I get the right damn name. You know, so I'll be like, Tanya, Renaya. Now you know what I meant. Get your ass over here. You know. Oh man! All right, so thank y'all for tuning in, everybody that was watching. The few of you that commented, appreciate y'all. And yeah, well, once again, Perez's link is gonna be in the description, so check him out. Make sure you subscribe. Do it now. And that's it, and that's all, man. So we out. Peace.
Later, y'all.
Fuck out of here.